Welcome to the Credit Union Business News Podcast, the only all-digital, all-business resource for credit unions. This episode is sponsored by Bator Training and Consulting. We create environments where employees actually want to come to work and members want to keep coming back. I am Kbator, your host for the Credit Union Business News Podcast. I have another awesome guest that's going to cover some different angles for us, which we always like. Let me tell you a little bit about him. His name is Chad Miller. He is the CEO of Southwest Louisiana Credit Union. I just found out that he went into the credit union industry right out of college in 2014. So he is a credit union veteran that really knows the industry from what we're dealing with this decade. He became a CEO in October of 2019. So he's definitely had a little bit of a trial by fire. So we want to hear a little bit about that. But enough of me talking. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. I'm really happy to be able to conversate with you today.
Me too. We're going to, we had talked once or twice before. We had really fun conversations, and I'm really pleased that we're going to have one on tape here for everybody else to listen to. But, as I mentioned, you took over as CEO of Southwest Louisiana Credit Union, a little less than a year ago. How has that learning curve been? Normally, people become CEO and they take over and things are kind of smooth, but you've had pandemics, you've had protests. How has that indoctrination been?
Yeah, and then on top of everything else, we built a new corporate office and did a core conversion all at the same time. So
nice.
Yeah, I've told our board I'm a 20-year CEO at the end of year one. I think.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, like you said, it's been kind of trial by fire. I mean, luckily I've had some good mentors in the industry that have been able to give me some advice throughout this whole pandemic. And that's the great thing about credit unions being cooperative, and I think that's where that little principle gets lost, especially in times like this. Because without those people that I've been able to lean on, I really don't think I would be able to get through it, both internally and externally, in the cooperative movement. So, but like going through the pandemic, really trying not to reinvent the wheel as far as what others are doing in the industry as well, I think is helping, and relying especially on those in the industry that have been successful, much longer than I've had to be in this role. So.
Yeah. I don't know what's worse, going through a core conversion or the pandemic, man. Obviously I'm not working at a credit union. I'm working with credit unions, but I'm not working at a credit union during this time. But I have worked as an employee of credit unions during core conversions, and I think I might actually rather have the pandemic. I don't know.
Hey, we're lucky. I mean, man, our marketing and business development department and them putting out information and communicating with our members was so important. And I think going through that core conversion actually got us prepared for the pandemic and effectively being able to communicate to our members, because it actually went pretty smoothly. I attribute 90% of it to the communication we were able to get out there. So having members being adaptable too. Those first couple of weeks were rough, just like it was kind of in the conversion, right? The first couple of weeks of the pandemic were pretty rough, trying to see like, hey, what in the heck are we going to do and how we're going to be able to service these people, especially having new technology that came with the conversion, like web signatures, things of that nature that we weren't really used to operating on, and our members really weren't either, and kind of making them go through it by fire as well, But they were really quick to adapt. And even now that we've kind of opened back up our lobbies and able to serve them in branch, we're seeing them adapt to that technology really, really well. So, I mean, having those resources, I made the comment, I was really glad we did the core conversion in February, and then this happened in March, because without even the core conversion, I don't know how we would have gotten through some of the stuff, getting members to sign digitally and things of that nature.
Yeah, great points. And kudos to you for learning something that, frankly, some of the baby boomer executives and even Gen X executives like myself didn't learn until later, about how important both internal and external communication is, in these processes, especially when things are going to go nuts. And I love what you said too, that you got the core conversion done before the pandemic. I've had a couple of clients that went through that and literally just got done January, February, March. And they thank the good Lord that they did, because that made the ease of all the electronic transactions so much better for their members when they had to close down branches and do some other things because of the pandemic. So nice job on that one.
Yeah, good timing.
So I understand you're a CDFI credit union, which, if I remember it correctly, is Community Development Financial Institution. And you've been able to leverage some grants to have some significant community partnerships. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and that's what I think we're most proud of here. So we went on that journey to get CDFI certified back in 2018. We were lucky enough to award it and be awarded a grant with the designation. And since then, we've won another award, and we're writing our third right now. So that first one, what we were able to do is get a bunch of community partners within the Lake Charles area, really from workforce development to, like, we have a police jury, which I guess is similar to like a city council, but on
Okay.
a parish level, or like a county level in other
Sure.
states. It's a little weird. Louisiana, I think, is one of the only ones that have a police jury, but
Yeah.
they're very good here. That they kind of handle like workforce development, things of that nature. With our first grant, we found that there was like a significant gap between like trade learning and vocational learning. So we have a lot of like gas plants, natural gas, oil plants, things of that nature here in our area. So there was a gap, and people wanting to get educated for these types of fields and get really, really good paying jobs, and not able to go and get the education because they had significant barriers to get that, whether it was like childcare, or like they couldn't leave their job for a few weeks because then they would be behind on their rent or mortgage payments and
Right.
things going on there. So what we did was we developed a student loan type product
Nice.
to bridge that, because we have a trade school here that actually has like a fast track program. So you can get like an operational, they have called P-Tech, a P-Tech or operations degree in about 6 weeks. So what we did was we created a product to fund most, if not all, of that tuition. And we defer principal and interest payments until 90 days after they graduate.
Hmm.
So try to get them into the job that they would have graduated with. A lot of them with here come with big bonuses. I mean, really
Yeah.
big sign-on bonuses that we're trying to educate them. Like, hey, use that, pay off your tuition. You'll pay it at 0% interest, really, once you get that.
Right.
So having some financial education behind it. But we were able to build this program with like workforce development, so well as the local trade community college here, and for even things like CDL licenses, welding certificates, all of that good stuff is what we have a high demand in jobs for. But people just couldn't go and get the training or the education necessary because of these barriers. So if they get that loan, what we use some of the grant funding for was to pay those expenses, right? So we were going
Hmm.
to pay their child care while they were in school,
Yeah.
or pay their mortgage or rent payments, whatever they saw as barriers to going to school and getting that education. So it was a really cool thing that we were able to get referrals in from our partners here in the community, and create a very significant and, very unique product, especially even in our industry.
Yeah.
And then like our second one that we wrote about was really about um, like underserved and affordable housing. So again, there's a lot of land here, or a lot of ability to expand into affordable housing, but rent prices have skyrocketed because of people moving in and working at those plants. We've even had, we've known employees even here that have been kicked out of their house by family because they could rent it out to someone else at 1,000.
Get out of here. You're costing me money.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy how some of these tenants work. So again, we kind of expanded our mortgage portfolio to do things like mobile homes. And here we call them barn dominiums. It's always a buzzword with people. It's pretty much metal shop houses. And like, what the
Yeah.
heck is a barn dominium? Well, yeah, but they're becoming more popular here. But they're metal shop houses that are really, really nice on the inside.
Yeah.
And what you would look like if you looked at the pictures would think is a $300,000-$400,000 home here goes down to about 150,000. So again, educating people on what kind of options are out there. Even we've explored into tiny homes, and things of that nature that have become a lot more popular that we're willing to finance, that others wouldn't be able to take that risk on.
Yeah, if I remember it right, and this is good for our audience, Lake Charles is just on the other side of New Orleans. Do I have my geography correct?
We're about 3 hours west of New Orleans,
Three
so we're
hours
in the
west.
southwest
Okay,
corner of
it's right. You're
the
close
state.
to Texas.
Yeah, we're probably a 30-minute drive from Texas.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
thank you for correcting my geography. I was trying to it's like I knew where it was and I'm trying to all right, how close is it to, one of these cities?
Yeah, we're
So it
on we're on right down I-10 from New Orleans, so it's not
got it.
bad.
Got it. So when you're financing these barn dominiums, do you worry about the next hurricane that's going to come in, or are those things pretty sturdy?
They've become pretty sturdy, actually. So yeah, we make sure they're properly insured. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, the contractors here have become really good at building them, and they've become more and more popular. It's really fun.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, here in Southern California, or maybe in my hometown of Chicago, I'll have to let people catch on to the barn dominiums. First time I ever heard that one. I'm learning all kinds of
Yeah, I know
things
that.
today.
I love saying that word because I forget what the other people call pole barns, a barn dominium. And the first time we even say them around here, they're like, "Excuse me, what? What are you trying to do?" Like, no, it's not a farm.
You're trying to tell me something, yeah.
Right, right.
So through these partnerships and a lot of these initiatives that you have implemented, you how have you seen that enhance the brand of Southwest Louisiana Credit Union? Yeah, does it? You talked about communication earlier. Does that
Right,
resonate with your members in that, hey, this isn't just another community bank that's trying
right.
to give us a loan at 15%. It's somebody that's actually trying to help us. In turn, we want to support them. Are you seeing some of that happen?
Absolutely. I would say, at the beginning, we didn't do, an excellent job of getting out there of like what we were doing with these funds or even that we were receiving the funds and how it was being injected back into our community. But the past year or so, we've been getting better with that on our communication. And like you said, trying to create it as, this isn't just another 15% loan we're trying to get out there or anything like that. Our business development girl, she says it when she goes to our partners and tries to really resonate with what we're trying to do is what it's done for our brand is where I'm going with it is we've become kind of here the financial institution of second chances.
Mm,
We've been able to use a lot of these grant fundings to supply our allowance account, which has allowed us to take a lot greater risk in our portfolio that others just simply won't do. We have a couple other institutions in our area, and really they all serve the needs, I say, of upper middle class, higher class in this area. We're really the only financial institution in this area on a broad scale that really serves the underserved and underbanked. And we're willing to and want to and able to because to me that's what the credit union that's what the credit union foundation was built off of was
mhm.
funding and serving those people, and I think that gets lost in a lot of what we're trying to do and you have to be wary of your losses and things of that nature, especially during a pandemic of what we're going through now. But like I said, we're able to leverage those funds into these very unique products and even expand on what we're do really, really good at. I mean, we're probably the best institution I've seen at doing debt consolidations and refinances. Our loan staff is just very, very good. That's what they do really, really well, and I think is a very good core competency of us. So we're able to leverage these other products, and then at the same time being able to do debt consolidations, boost credit scores, put them in a position to eliminate poverty, which is our
Mhm.
mission statement.
Yeah.
And like I said, without those funding, I don't think we would be able to get there simply because we'd be taking all those losses head on, especially as a smaller institution.
Yeah. Now, a word from our sponsor, Bator Training and Consulting. Would you like to create an experience both for your employees and your members that increases productivity and sets your credit union on a straight path for growth, even in these times? Then let's talk. Let's set up a 15-minute consultation where we talk about your unique institution and how we can increase productivity and growth, whether your credit union is 1 million in assets, 10 billion in assets, or anywhere in between. And during that complimentary session, let's also talk about our B plus C plus S snapshot, formerly called our B plus C plus S audit. We do a deep dive into your brand, culture, and strategy. It's often the perfect start in working with Bator Training and Consulting, and provides a real value in a full report providing observations and implementable actions for the enhancements of your brand, culture, and strategy. This service also includes a 2-hour video meeting with me, Kbator, to review the report with you and your management team and discuss how we can create a well-branded experience for your employees and members that's going to increase productivity and help the growth of your institution. To learn more, send an email directly to me at Kbator, Bator, at btcinc.net. Again, that's Kbator at btcinc.net. A lot of great stuff that I just heard there, and I'm trying to process all of it to see which great point I want to leverage there. But I love your tagline of eliminating poverty. And I think where some credit unions, even get a little bit off track is they, in fact, I had a conversation with one credit union CEO, and I talked about the value of consolidation loans right now.
Right.
And that individual says something, I'm saying this much harsher than it was said to me, but it was basically so much, I want to give consolidation loans to a bunch of unemployed people right now. And rather than trying to correct this person, I just kind of said, all right, I'm not gonna enlighten the unconscious.
Hey, there's a difference between unemployed and not working because of COVID.
Right.
So.
Right, exactly. And I truly believe that your mission of eliminating poverty isn't a death knell for the credit union. I think
Right.
that you can do well by doing good,
Absolutely.
and that there is profitability in that. I know that
Absolutely.
sometimes the credit unions think that profitability is a bad word, but the fact is, if you can help people eliminate poverty profitably, then that's the circle of life, in that profitability can circle back to do that for more people. Am I on base there of what
Oh,
go ahead.
you're hitting exactly what I preach here, and I've said it time and time again, and even when I'm explaining the differences between credit unions and banks and even other financial institutions, when I use that not for profit word, I always harp on that, right? Like, we are not for profit. And I think we sometimes lose sight of that because, we do have to be profitable, right? Or we can't reinvest back into our membership.
Right.
But also means we have to take some things of what we do and really land on that not for profit principle. I mean, you'll see, I think we're going to get into it. We're leveraging our partnership to kind of expand in this area where no one else has expanded, and it's designated a financial desert right now. And I've told our board members, time and again, at the end of the day, would we rather make $1 million this year and say, cool, we made $1 million, or would we rather make $500,000 and be able to say we did this, right. this, and this? So I think that's a huge point. Like you're saying, we can't get so caught up or using that bad word of profitability, because we have to be profitable or we can't do what we want to do. But at the end of the day, too, we have to focus on eliminating poverty. We have to focus on being that institution for the people that aren't able to get something or go to and get it at 28% interest rather than 15. And we have to do that because we can be profitable. We may not boost up our income statements like other institutions are able to do, but at the end of the day, we can go to sleep and say, hey, we did all of this for our community, and that's what we really try to do. And we hit on debt consolidations. All that's very important. We put our whole staff, we have about 50 employees. We make them all go through certified financial counselors through CUNA's designation. So we haven't leveraged it, to be quite honest, as best as we could. But going into strategic planning this year, that's our big thing, is to how can we take this to the next level? Our whole purpose is to if a member walks in, anybody they catch can help them, right? And they don't have to wait on a loan officer or wait on a financial counselor, whoever. They can catch whoever walks through the door and know that they're going to be taken care of, and they're certified to be able to do that. We haven't formalized it in any way, and I think we failed in our part of our employees doing that. But that's our main point going forward for the rest of this year and early 2021, is to get a formalized program and be like, hey, how can we leverage this into helping more and more people?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say that you failed, my friend. I think that I would say you failed if you didn't recognize it and look to leverage it and do something in the future.
Right.
I think that's, it's more of a let's get to it and concentrate on it, and it got pushed
Right.
back more than a failure. So don't be so hard on
Right.
yourself. uh, but yeah, in terms of one of the things that you said that really clicked in my mind is in my history with credit unions, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they've done some very, very good things and have been very, there's probably a stronger word than this, but I'm going to use shy. They've been too shy to let people know what they're doing.
Right.
And part of it, part of it I understand to a certain extent. You want to do good and not necessarily toot your horn, but there's a couple of factors in there that I like to stress with my clients. Is one, if you spent $500,000 on marketing, you would want people to know about it. If you spend
Absolutely.
$500,000 on helping people, wouldn't you want, from a marketing standpoint, for people to know about it? Coupled with the fact that it's your members' money. They have a right to know all of this good stuff that you're doing out there. So you mentioned I really picked up on this. Would you like to have $1 million of profitability, or would you rather have $500,000 and be able to tell everybody what you've done with that 500,000? What do you do to get that word out of, these are the things that we're doing from a branding standpoint to give back to our community?
Right. Yeah, I think that's where we have to, and credit unions in general, when I say we have to leverage those community partnerships. And I think that's where we've excelled, where I think other credit unions can excel is really honestly getting out there and just saying, hey, like, this is what we do. Because, just as good as all of us, what's the difference between credit unions and banks, and where do we set ourselves apart from as financial institutions? And it's getting out to those community partners and saying, this is why we're different. And even those ones you've had established for a long time, we have to re-engage with them, because just who signed them up for the credit union 40 years ago probably isn't there anymore. And
Right.
they're the ones that are controlling where their employees go, or where their employees go to get help, and pitching it to them, in the form of that it's helping their employees as well, and engaging them, and will do better for their health and all these health benefits that come from being financially fit and reducing stress. That's where you have to go, and that's where we have to, as a brand awareness standpoint, go out there and really say, why are we different? And what are we doing any better than anybody else? While at the same time saying, we have the same exact financial services that all these other people have. We're just investing it all back in here instead of, a boardroom or stockholders' profits.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that what's really important, and I hope our audience, either listening or watching to this episode, gets this, is that I truly believe that most consumers really don't care about the so-called credit union difference and don't really
Right.
want to sit and listen about it. But people in
Mhm.
Southwest Louisiana definitely want to hear about, hey, we've helped X number of people be able to get education and
Right.
get out of poverty by having this awesome career that they may not have been able to get without our help. That is something that people do care about. And then you could say, by the way, credit unions do this every day.
Right. And I think there's so much out there that whether we're, I guess it goes back to what you're saying earlier about whether we're scared to, like, go out there and tell people what we're doing, or even or what I found whenever all these community partnerships started coming up, when we were coming with CDFI, I was like, why in the heck didn't we do this prior? Because like where we're going with the health center, I don't know if it's like, are we scared to go ask for help or just go scared to say, hey, how can we help you? I don't really know where that barrier is, or if it's just time, right? Because like where we're leveraging one of our best partnerships, where we're expanding into an area that's literally been designated a financial desert. It's a low income area. It's low poverty. A lot of it is, big corporate businesses just don't want to go there because they don't see it as profitable. A lot of it is, hey, no one's ever been over there, so why the heck would we want to go there? Somebody knows something we don't know. But we're able to go into a place, a health center here in Lake Charles, that has a health centers other places in the state as well, and they want to pilot a program with us, to kind of say like, hey, we'll give you space to do some financial counseling. We'll give you space to put an ITM, a self-service kiosk, heck, even just an ATM that does deposits, something to get some financial services there with someone in an office that, can do financial counseling on a big level. And what is it going to cost us? We probably don't have to hire another employee. We're probably going to move somebody that we currently have right now on the staff, since everybody's designated financial counselors. So for the price of technology, we're able to have pretty much a whole new branch that for an area that already sees, I think they see something crazy like 500 clients a day already in there. And how are we going to have somebody that can go in there and be very personable and counsel people? And it's a low income health center in its own right. So a lot of them are going to need funds to pay for their medical benefits, or whatever that is. There's a lot of public transportation around there. So how can we get them out of the 28% auto loans or into something that they've never owned before and afford, rather than having to take Lyfts and Ubers for, $100 a day every time. So there's a lot that can be done there. And it simply took us, having a community resource fair, whatever you want to call it, luncheon with a bunch of partners that we just reached out to with the help of, some other vendors and stuff as well, to get them all together into one room and just say, what do you need? Like, what are you seeing in the financial industry? We wrote down this big list, and now we have all of these things that we're able to leverage. We're trying to leverage those partnerships into like prisoner reentry programs, things that we've never even seen before or thought that we could help with, that we're going to be like, all right, let's see what the heck we can do there. And it may be minimal, it may be just a little bit, it may be a lot. I don't really know at this point, but we're going to go and try it and try to make a difference. And like I said, eliminate poverty one step at a time.
Yeah. You're not passionate about any of this, are you?
No, not at all. I get very worked up about it when we start getting
Yeah, for those of you that aren't on the video portion of our show and only listening to this in the car, I've seen Chad bounce from one side of the screen to the other. It is excitement of talking about all the great stuff that Southwest Louisiana Credit Union is doing and is about to do. With that, in although you're possibly short tenure as a CEO, but very fun-filled tenure as a CEO, is there any recommendations or any tips that you would give other CDFI credit unions out there?
I mean, my biggest thing, like I said, was like go out there and try things. And maybe I'm just young and dumb and willing to take that risk. I don't really know. But I'm a very common sense thinker. So when I think of something, I'm like, well, why in the heck can't we do that? Right? Or you're hearing stuff other people are doing, and it's why the heck we can't. And then identifying those barriers, whether they're technological, financial, whatever it may be, and trying to eliminate them. But like I said, the biggest thing that we've done is really just get everybody in a room together. Whether I think we had a law center there, a health center, the police jury, local government, all of these people together in one room, and just hear United Way, all those nonprofits and things like that, all in one room, just saying, hey, what are you guys seeing here from a financial services standpoint that you're having trouble with? And we put them all together, and we're just trying to check it off one by one. So asking the questions, otherwise we think we know we're doing all this stuff, but sometimes we get consumed of what's going on in our four walls. And I encourage everybody who's really tailoring towards that low income designation, CDFI, becoming a CDFI and getting used to those funds. And they're talking about even expanding it, throughout COVID and and everything that's going on in the world right now, I encourage you to really take this step and try, because there's probably a lot, just like when we were in college and all these scholarship offers went without, anybody taking funds of them. We don't want to leave those funds on the table, and we want to inject them into institutions, that actually really, really deserve them, that'll do good with them, and not just put them in your income statement.
Yeah, great points. You probably already answered this question probably about a half a dozen times in our great conversation, but to kind of wrap up a little bit, what's on the horizon for Southwest Louisiana Credit Union? Maybe the number one thing that you're looking forward to doing in the second half of 2020 or even beginning 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right on our short term. I mean, our biggest thing, and the thing I'm most excited about, is getting into that health center and getting into the area, that literally has no financial services. I just think there's a lot of opportunity, not only for growth, but for us to really, really inject and do what our mission and vision is, expanding on our financial education. Our business development and marketing team right now is finalizing and formalizing that program to really get re-engagement with our segs, and really get out there and tell this community and this area right here what we're about. We just built a new corporate office, so we got a nice, very pretty, very unique place. It doesn't look like any other financial institution I've seen. So we've got greens and oranges and blues and all kind of fun colors. So yeah, really on the horizon for us is really just getting out there, getting our brand more and more out there as that financial institution of second chances, and really work on our vision of eliminating poverty in this community.
Awesome. Well, if what you said is true, that young and dumb is working, don't become smart and old, because that doesn't always work. All right. So yeah,
that's the challenge, right?
Chad, I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking some time with us this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Ken.
My pleasure. My pleasure to have you. And thank you to all of you in our audience that have either watched or listened to this episode of the Credit Union Business News Podcast. And we will be back in about 2 weeks with another great guest. Take care. Learn more about Credit Union Business News at creditunionbusiness.com. Suggestions for the Credit Union Business News Podcast can be directed to Tim O'Hara at tim@cubusiness.com or Ken Bator at Kbator, Bator, at btcinc.net. To learn more about this episode's sponsor, please go to btcinc.net.